So I'm just going to start the recording. And so this will just be posted inside the actual business model makeover space so that other people can benefit from the stuff that we bring up today and help each other. Someone else will be able to also learn from that. And you can also go back to the recording if you forgot something and hear it again. So welcome to this retreat, little mini retreat where we're going to have a little mastermind together. And just to remind you what the purpose of this is, it's literally just a really casual experience of being able to share what your business is and maybe places you're getting stuck or places where you need help with ideas so that together we can all put our brains to work in your business. So it's not about Beth and I coaching, it's about all of us coming up with ideas for one another. So I will let one of you volunteer to be the first person. And all you have to do is say who you are, explain your business to us, and don't worry about it being perfectly succinct, just do the best that you can. And then we'll work on helping you with any of your next steps forward. So who would like to volunteer?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Wonderful, Jen.
Okay, so my business is called Radiant Woman, and I assist women who are feeling stuck, and all of a sudden it goes chop chop. Are you getting feedback or anything?
It's a tiny bit choppy, but we can still hear you.
Okay, so I'll just carry on. Okay, so I assist women who are feeling stuck in their life or are feeling undervalued, underappreciated, or overshadowed, perhaps by a successful partner. And I help them to find their own voice and their own feet so that they can stand independently and carry on in their own radiance.
We love it. It's very clear. Like I said,
Very clear. I just want to give you a round of applause there, Jen. That's awesome to have that kind of clarity. Way to go.
Great.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. So where do you feel like you're getting stuck? What's, if you had to put it at the top of the list, the biggest stuck place? What is it? I think I have an idea already because you and I are planning a dating.
I think you do too. Yes.
You can
I have my 5 steps put together. I have 5 steps in my signature system, and I have used them successfully. But I am dragging my heels on putting it all together into the system, like getting my binder system together and getting that done. Because I know it's not going to. I think it's because I know it's not going to stay done because I've already changed some things. So, and maybe that's the problem.
Right.
Yeah, so that's something that we can all benefit from, just having a little bit of a focus on for a moment, that it's very true your business will evolve continuously because you're evolving continuously, right? If your commitment is to grow and expand your knowledge all the time, then yes, your system is going to change. But, you know, in reality, it's really just about tweaking. It's almost never baby in the bathwater, got to like X out and do over.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Just improvement.
What was that, Sherry?
Oh, I was just saying that it's just like improving things along the way.
Exactly. Adding.
Yeah.
Yeah. There have been things that I have done in the past where maybe I would think, oh, they're not relevant to what I'm doing now, but I've been able to pull so many things from that I've done in the past into what I'm doing now, that it's just a matter of like looking at the handout one more time and going, okay, how is this relevant to now? And how would I change this? How would I make it better? Actually, Beth and I were just talking yesterday about how we look sometimes back on work we've done and we're like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. Why didn't I give myself credit for that at the time instead of feeling bad about it, like it wasn't good enough? And then there's some things we look back on and we're like, oh my God, there's 50 typos in that. And like, oh my God, a second there. It doesn't even make sense. So, you know, you'll never get it perfect.
Yeah, and it's a kind of mantra, fempreneur mantra, is that we didn't invent it, but we certainly carry it, and it's that done is better than perfect. So the energy of done is one of completion. It actually is, when we're seeking perfection, we're actually seeking this feeling of completion, of doneness.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
And every time you get to the other side and you just do something and you just put it out, it's like incredibly beautiful energy comes over you, satisfaction. It's like, wow, this is what I was looking for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so true. The done can just be the, I put it out there. I used it once, and so the satisfaction is there. But then that doesn't mean you won't go back and make it better for the next client, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Does anybody else have any feedback on what mindset they're using to get through their system?
And while we're waiting, I just wanted to say hello to Allison, who's joined us now. So in case everyone doesn't see Allison, that she's here from Massachusetts. Welcome.
Can you hear us, Allison?
Can you hear us, Allison? No, and we can't hear you either.
We can't hear us. Okay.
Yeah. There's a mute button that might be hit, or a mic button. And it's probably, if you're on the computer or on your phone, then it's on the screen.
You might have to move your mouse for it to show up on the screen. I know I do.
Okay. She might be
Otherwise, yeah, especially if it's full screen, and then if I wiggle my mouse and go to the bottom, it's on the lower left-hand side. I don't know if it'll be the same on everybody.
I'm just letting her know also to check her speakers. For this.
Oh, good.
I'm able to actually text her here.
Perfect. But does anyone want to give Jen any feedback while we're waiting, just to make use of the time?
Can she repeat what exactly she's stuck on?
Yeah, well,
It's actually, sorry, go ahead.
I did not fully get what you are doing. I mean, I understand you are trying to help women to empower them and to find really their full fulfillment and so on. But how are you doing that? Are you giving sessions? Are you having a program? Or how do you do that?
I have a combination of, I have 5 steps inside my signature system, and I have different exercises. There's some journaling exercises, there's setting an intention, there's checking for core limiting beliefs. One segment of it is ensuring that my client puts herself first. So I have a series of for a week. That's one of the things that I do. Like every day she has to do something, just no interruptions and just be. Just little things like that. So, and I have used the entire system of a client. That's my platinum package, and I have all of the pieces, but I'm struggling to get all of the pieces put into the binder so that everything's in one place and I know where it is and I can go to it. I have it started, but I've just been really reluctant to finish it. Does that help? Is that clearer?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, it was a bit hard to understand. It was very interrupted acoustically, but I think I'm getting it. So you're actually coaching, right?
Yes, I guess I am. I told Beth a long time ago I avoid that word at all costs. I don't know why. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Probably because it sounds masculine.
Maybe that's what it is, yeah.
To me, it sounds like you must have 1 million of clients, because I guess that's the topic for most of the women all over the world, that we don't value ourselves for what we are doing.
Mm.
I think it's really a great program.
Well, I'm hoping that it'll be. Thank you.
There's some validation for you.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Allison. Can you hear us?
Hi, Sherry. Yeah, can you hear me?
Hi, Allison.
Hi, Beth. Hello.
Hey, nice to see you.
Nice to see everybody.
Yay. Okay, so so what do you perceive as being the actual struggle of getting it into the binder? Because there's the logistics of it, and then there's the emotions, right? Because like I know I used to struggle with that a lot. It's because I didn't have a good printer.
It's been part of the problem. Yeah. My printer has been acting up. Right. Yeah, and I go to print something, and then I go to the printer, and it's not there, and there's an error message, and it's like, I'll do this later. And then later never seems to come.
Right.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
Another part of it is not putting my business first.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I'm easily distracted because I don't want to, because there's that resistance to finishing it, right? So then I think, oh, well, I can do this instead. I think that's part of it too.
Go ahead, Margot.
Oh, I experience that sometimes with technical issues. And recently I just solved a whole bunch of mine by telling myself, you know what, today, I'm just going to focus on this one problem. I'm going to relax. I'm going to give myself as much time as I need. I don't have anything else to do. And usually I get on the Google, and in less than 30 minutes, that problem solved, and my life is so much easier. But at the time when you're experiencing that problem, it's so frustrating that like I can't relax and do it. You know, at that I have to like make a special appointment.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love that. It's like, it feels like such a different way of stepping into it.
Yeah, exactly. If I could just point out that that energy of it, you know, because Jen, what you were talking about not putting your business first, it's a very feminine statement, right? Because women have a kind of floodlight consciousness where we can contain a lot of things at one time. And, you know, we can have a big long list, and often the first thing doesn't get done, but we got done like 15 other things.
Right.
Right. So in a way, what you're probably wanting to call in right now is a little bit more masculine energy. And that's what, when Margot said that line, I'm going to focus on this one problem. That's a more masculine approach. And that's what you need in your business, right? It's, if you think about your business as a whole being, it's going to have the masculine, it's going to have the feminine. And there's always going to be that play between them. Right. So, you know, even though fempreneur, obviously it's about having a business that really brings the feminine out, there's always going to be that call for the masculine to just like pull out whatever it is for you, some warrior energy, some rebel energy, whatever kind of more masculine thing that, okay, I'm going to put the floodlights on, I'm going to close the door, I'm going to turn the phone off, and I'm going to muscle in, you know.
Great.
Thanks for bringing that up, Beth. That's such a good thing to remember about a lot of this stuff is like creating a system, being creative, that feels all feminine, right? Putting it on paper, making the handouts, but yeah, like the structure, putting it in a binder, making the printer work, like, oh my God. I remember struggling with this stuff for so long, and I remember the stories that would come up. It would be like, oh my God, like obviously the universe doesn't support me because my printer doesn't work. Like it's trying to stop my business.
Exactly.
And I think also there's like this whole society like shift that we've had in the past 10, 15 years with the internet, that a lot of us have emotional resistance to dealing with the technology of things. And it's really just like a decision. Like, I'm not going to let technology be difficult for me.
Mm. Can I say something,
Yeah.
Sherry? Yeah, I have all that too, and double it. And I have to go so deep into my body in order to get anything done. So like recently I started doing, breathing. I really need deep breathing. I need to, it's just incredible, or else my energy just goes up so high, and I go back to the intellectual, and I can't get anything done.
Right.
So for me, it's all about, for me, breathing deeply and really working my body and getting really, really into it.
Oh, I love that.
And then I can.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, great advice.
Little awareness for me there, because I am the person who's up here a lot, and a lot of resistance for the longest time about getting into my body, even just like accepting that fitness is a part of health, right? I can see how that could also play out in this, because exactly in the way you say, but I wasn't relating it to that. I was thinking like, oh, it's so boring to have to stop and print something. Like, I don't want to do that. That's not creative. But I could see if I was more like just relaxed about being a human and being in a body, not needing to be entertained by intellectual things all the time, I could stop and actually print a piece of paper.
Yeah.
One
One
more suggestion, Jen, is to set yourself, like, I'm going to, for sure in this half hour, I'm going to take on step number 1 of my signature system, rather than facing it like a wall. And, so like, okay, I'm committed to, I'm not going to answer the phone or the door or the email or the anything until step number 1 is totally complete in the binder. And then I'm going to check Facebook and blah, blah, blah. And then I'm going to set myself another half an hour that day or another day, so breaking it down into more manageable increments, so it's not a wall of work.
Right. Yeah. And I did make a note, because it's in one of the modules, about setting aside an hour a day.
Yeah.
And I started doing that, and then I don't know, it just went. It was like, I still have all this stuff to do. I need way more than an hour.
Yeah, I think as you're learning to set time aside for yourself, that you're going to have times where you are just constantly like in flow, like a few days in a row you do it, and then you forget for a week. But just mission that, okay, it's not about being perfect. It's literally about, this is my new practice that I'm getting into. So sometimes I will do it. Sometimes I will, but there's like that learning phase or that getting into it phase before, that concept, like 21 days to do a habit. You can treat it the exact same way. Like, it may take you 3 or 4 months to get into it just being natural to get working on your business every single day, right? Like, just think this morning, like, one of my practices that I started this summer was having a gratitude journal. And there's days where I go for like 7 days in a row where I've inputted something every single day. And then this morning I went and wrote in my gratitude journal, and I realized I haven't written in there since December 5th. So it's been 5 days, and I didn't even notice, right? So.
Yep. Yeah, I find it very easy to fall out of a habit, even if I've been doing it for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
A couple of days is all it takes.
Yeah.
Can I add something?
Yes.
Yeah, I think a new habit too, like, because you're adding on like another layer, you can start doing it for like a few weeks or a few months. What I've noticed for myself is sometimes like I'll get really tired because I've added all this new stuff. Like, it will give me energy, but it's like my body needs to get used to it. So then I need to sort of a break, step away for like a week or two, but always in mind that, but still thinking about it, just sort of taking an intentional like step back so you can look at it, because otherwise I start to feel like I'm getting like I can't breathe. I just get really overwhelmed. So for me, it has to be sort of a slower process, and giving myself permission to step back, and then with the intention to go back to it and Yeah, so that's a huge thing. Anyway, I don't know if that helps.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you stopped and you failed, it just means sometimes you need a different perspective on it. And to give your body time to catch up to what you're doing mentally and spiritually. So
Great.
Great advice. And I'll just follow that. It's similar to what you're saying, Krista, is to really honor the moon cycle. Where is it at? If you look at where we're headed right now, as you know, coming up till full moon gathering that Jen is actually presenting at, energy is rising.
Thanks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, congratulations. And so, this is a time when the moon favors more action. We're naturally getting more pumped. Now, I watch myself, for example, that I'll feel all this energy and then I'll run to a closet to reorganize. Right? And it's like, oh, that's just not really going to help my business. I should be doing that at the new moon, right? So there's imposing some discipline around energy's high. I really could get a bunch of stuff done now, and setting that strong intention, like I'm doing this. Going to happen, and then giving yourself those breaks when the energy's naturally lower and the new moon, and visioning and bathtub time and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, I have, before we go on to the next person, I'm not sure what the time is, but where are we at, Beth, with time? Do you know?
Yes, we're going to actually start timing after this.
Okay, thank you. I didn't ask you to. My husband left with my phone, so suddenly I'm going to tell.
Okay.
One of the things that I do is I put in my day timer every single day those practices. So they're literally like ahead of time, like a week ahead of time. Like it literally says organize, gratitude, mindset on the first line of my day timer. So it's in there before the week starts. Like I'll literally set that for every single day, which will help me not forget that that's my intention. It doesn't mean that every day I get to check it off, but it does mean that I'm reminding myself that that is what my intention is to do every single day, first thing in the morning. And then that remember that this is a practice that I'm doing, right? Because if I didn't put it in my day timer, it would go a lot longer than 5 days before I remembered to do gratitude. It would probably be 6 months. And I do everything in pencil so I can erase things. So I'll literally erase it if I didn't do it. Right? And then I'm always restructuring my day timer. Like what it looks like on Monday and what it looks like at the end of the week is totally different. Because usually I think I can do more than I can.
Pick me. That's something that I'm guilty of a lot. Yeah, I look at this and say, oh, well, that'll take 10 minutes, and that'll take 10 minutes, and that'll take half an hour, and I'm good. Meanwhile, it's like an hour and 3 hours.
Yeah.
There's my day gone.
Exactly. That brings me to another thing that's kind of like a mindset thing that because I noticed in my head, I have this story, like everything takes longer than I expect. That's a belief I have. So I'm constantly telling myself and actually like validating it, going, see, again, everything takes longer than I expected. And so I'm now trying to program my mind with, I have more than enough time for everything I need to do. Right? Because it's like, it's literally just a belief system. So I keep recreating the other story because that's the story I've been telling for so long. It's a story that my mom told me. Right? So the program.
Yeah, the shorter version of that is there is always enough time. And when I'm really feeling overwhelmed, then I stop and bring myself back to that. There is always enough time.
Yeah, perfect.
Beautiful. Very good. I think we should switch now. I'm just firing up another device so we can get a timer going.
Thanks, Beth.
Can we ask people to turn off their microphone if they're not talking? I'm getting a lot of feedback from other people when someone's not talking. So it's hard to hear people sometimes.
Sure.
I think I'm also grabbing a headset. Just a second.
Oh, I want to remind us.
So, hi, Moss. Moss joined us somewhere along the way here. Welcome. So
nice to see you all.
Yeah, you too. So everybody's getting a 15-minute spotlight. So who would like to volunteer to go next?
I can go.
Great.
All right. So I'm just going to read my I help and then explain where I'm at. Okay. So I help people who want to start learning to listen to their own voice within. Perhaps this voice has been dulled by habits or a difficult relationship, demanding soul-crushing job, or from allowing oneself to drift away from one's own integrity. So I've helped them reconnect with their inner inclinations, quiet their monkey mind, steady their day-to-day balance, so they can choose to live a life they love again, learn to do what they love, embrace their pain, feel courageous in their own life, be creators of their own reality, or believe that they are, little by little, be creators of their own reality, or at least believe that they are, and little by little, every day engage in their own game-changing life. So, I mean, that's sort of the general idea. So I have, since the last time we had a meeting, I've kind of been doing a lot of other stuff, like personal development stuff, and then kind of got sidetracked off of my business, developing my signature system. And one thing that you said to Jan that resonated for me is just doing something and putting it out there. And so my biggest apprehension is actually around the response. I think I mentioned this last time and I'm still stuck on it. Maybe I need to do some more releasing around it. I haven't created a goal around it with my releasing partner. Is the apprehension and the responsibility of helping people. So like more formally, because I do it all the time, like at my hour for pay job and in my relationships, and like always have. And I've never felt like, oh, I'm responsible, because I am careful. I do curate what I say in day-to-day life, like I have a filter. And because I've done a lot of work on myself, I feel like by the time I'm giving someone some sort of advice, I have a degree of confidence, or I'm relating. So I think that, and because I want to bring a lot of other things that I'm still learning into my business at some point, I'm not really sure how to hold that, like how to hold that container of the things I'm still learning. And then also like feel confident and about leading people in a more formal setting, like with a website and, after because I've been practicing making videos and I haven't posted them yet, but been practicing just making them. And, my only like hesitation about pressing send or uploading it somewhere is like, what if someone like takes what I have to say and then like blames me because, they can't integrate it. When you try to integrate something that you're not ready for yet because you're trying to bypass all this other stuff. So anyways, that's my sort of, that's where I'm getting stuck, I guess, is the best thing. And then I guess my own fear too of failure, but that's something else. I'm working on that right now with my releasing partner. So I feel like I have that under control, but it's more the former.
Could I ask you a question, Krista?
Yes, of course.
So when you talked about, we'll just take them one at a time. The apprehension you feel about formally helping people. You're already informally helping them, but that apprehension about formally helping them, and you also use the word kind of assuming responsibility or being responsible. And so a question would be, what's the payoff to stay in that place?
I'll
just ask you an easy question.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the payoff for me to stay in that place is not being criticized, I guess is what what would, and I mean,
yeah.
Thank you for pointing that out, because that means I have to say it, but that's what my soul just brought up, is the fear of being criticized, for not knowing enough or not being enough, for that person.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and I noticed, Oh, and I noticed, like I don't watch all of your videos, you know, but I watched one recently, and some guy was trolling you, and I didn't actually see it because I didn't see it live. I just saw like the replay, so I didn't actually see what he said, or, you know, I just saw you addressing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I was like, oh my God, I think I would crack or you know, or lose it. You know what I mean? Not have the measured response that you did, you know, like ignore it. And then I was like, I was imagining myself doing what you're doing, and like I would lose my train of thought, and I would like internalize it. And so that just brought everything up. Just watching you brought that up in me, that like, so I was like, oh my gosh, that's the thing I need to address.
Yeah, beautiful to see that. That's awesome, and it's a good measure that I had a Bo on the video, and he was telling me like profanities and you know, calling me down. It was like the worst ever, but it was a beautiful seeing for me because I just didn't care. I was there to serve people. I was there to, you know, it wasn't about me. He can criticize me. He's just not part of my world, and you know, so just to show you that you can get to that place, and it's not having a thick skin, like it doesn't affect you. It's just like, this isn't part of this energy, and I don't have to worry about it. It's going to fall away naturally.
Yeah.
It's going to fall itself away.
Yeah.
Right. And nobody, you know, felt bad about me. I didn't have to feel bad about me. It was just right. So I think you have your work, you know what your work is, that, you know, letting go of that sense of that fear of being criticized, that fear of not knowing, that fear of not being good enough, the fear of being responsible. Also, one other thing before we pass it on to somebody else to give feedback, that you know, what if somebody blames me because they can't integrate what I'm teaching, right? And so this is a big mindset, is not, you can only assume responsibility for who you are and how you're showing up.
Yeah.
How a Bo took my live stream, I can't be responsible for that.
Yeah.
And there's no heaviness for me about it.
Yeah.
He couldn't get what I was saying, and I'm not worried about him.
Yeah. I think that reflection just lifted. I just felt something lift out of me when you were saying that, like, I come and present myself as I am, and people come as they are, wherever they're at. So whether it's a seed planted or they try it and it doesn't work for them, you know, like if say I'm giving a talk or something and I post it, and someone tries to integrate what I've said and it's not working for them, you know, that's okay. It is okay.
Beautiful.
Okay, thanks.
My pleasure. Anyone else?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to say something that helps, because I feel like we probably all have these fears, like they're pretty big ones, of like being criticized when we put things that are really important out there. And when that comes up for me, one of the things that I tell myself is like, well, what if someone who has profoundly affected me had let those fears rule them? Like, what if Brene Brown had been like, people are gonna shit talk me, and no one really wants to hear this stuff anyway. If she let those voices determine her course of action and hadn't pushed through, our society would be so much the poorer for it. And that really helps me to kind of get past the small fears into the big picture of, if I really believe, and I think all of us are here because we really feel like we have something important to share with the world. So we kind of have a duty to not let those small fears rule us, and to get through them so that we can share something important. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that helps.
No, it does actually. You brought, because I follow Brene Brown, and what she says, to paraphrase, is, you know, the people who are criticized aren't the ones in the ring. They're the people in the audience. They're not the ones doing the work. So, you know, if you want to come down to the ring, then I'll have a conversation with you. But if you're up there looking at me and criticizing, then you don't get to have an opinion. You know, you can just sit up there. I know you're going to be up there, so I invite you to come, but your opinion doesn't really matter to me.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that reminder, Moss.
Beautiful, Moss. Beautiful, Krista.
That is so great. Another thing, just to add to it, I feel like you already got it on the emotional level. But just like with the idea of providing something and wondering if, you know, people are going to get results from it, and what if they take it the wrong way and all that kind of stuff. Part of that is just getting really clear on like the fact that you have absolutely no way of getting them results ever. Like and same, like if you look at this program, for example, there's no way that Beth and I can get any of you any results at all in this. The only thing we can do is show up, provide the best materials that we possibly can based on where we're at in our life, and be present to you and help you in any way that we can. But we can't go to your house, write your system for you, put it in the binder, put you in front of a video camera and be like, record, let's go. You're going to get people now.
I have to follow that, Sherry, and say, we actually can do that, but for a lot more money.
Okay. So it's like the only thing that I can be responsible for is how I show up, right? Like whether or not I arrive here when I said I was going to, whether or not I deliver the module when I said I was going to, whether or not I do my best creating the module, right? That's the best that I can do. And it's the same thing for you with your clients. The only thing that you can do is create the best signature system that you possibly can based on where you're at this moment, and show up for the calls that you have on the calendar with them and just be present, right? Or, you know, show up and, you know, give your, you know, your audience the best that you know at this point. And it's like this fear about, you know, maybe my clients won't get results, or maybe I'll say something wrong and it'll screw somebody up or something like that. I don't think it's something that you can ever not have like a fear around. Mm-hmm. It's just whether you can like act in spite of that fear. So recently I was doing a journal exercise, and one of the things that I recognize is that has been sort of holding me back from just constantly putting out content as far as videos go. And it's the idea that, like, what if I physiologically share something incorrectly when I'm teaching related to health, right? Because I teach at a school. So everything that I put out there is something I've already done, like, you know, I've got like notes on it, PowerPoints, right? I've done my research. It's all, you know, ready to be taught, okay? But if I just turn a video on and I want to say something, if in my mind I have to deliver content at the level that I'm delivering in a program, it means what I'm going to go is like, oh shit, like I need to go and like research and make sure it's all like perfect when I deliver it. And then guess what? I'm never going to do that video. Because who has time for that every single day, right? So just right now working on that for myself, like just like press record, don't really know what I'm going to say, start babbling and hope I get it out right. Right? And so then what I also put down as what I'm intending is that I'm okay with being incorrect. I'm okay with being wrong. And I'm okay with turning around and saying, oh, I was wrong about that, and here's how it is. And just being okay, right? Because I think in our culture, the worst thing is if you're wrong, right? If you're in school, you put your hand up and you answer the question and you're wrong, everyone's like, you're wrong, because everyone else is afraid of being wrong, right? So they have no patience for you being wrong because they have no patience for themselves being wrong, right? So it's just,
exactly.
For me right now, it's just a decision. It's like, I'm just going to tell it based on the level I know it, and, you know, save the deeper, perfect, you know, well thought out PowerPoint with all the details that goes in the programs, right?
Yeah. And can I add one thing to that really beautiful, Sherry, is expect paradigm shifts. Expect them.
Yep.
Right? So, you know, once upon a time, if you looked into my world, and there's still lots on the web, like I'm all about the yoga. Yoga is the answer to the universe is yoga, right? And now it's like, I have to force myself to do yoga. It's not even in my paradigm. I don't teach it anymore. There are principles I've drawn forward, but I've found better tools. Yeah. And so I don't have to apologize for, and maybe I'm going to find better tools again. And my videos are all going to be outdated.
Yeah.
But that's the price you pay for actually, you know, taking your knowledge seriously and being a good student.
Yeah. If you're not changing your opinion or thinking that something could be better, like, then you're not growing either, right? So, like, I would have been talking all about being a vegetarian if I was 10 years prior to this. I would have been, that's what I would have been promoting.
Right. Oh, there's a timer.
There's a timer. Did you have something to finish saying, Krista?
Well, first of all, thank you, Sherry, Beth, and Moss, and anyone else to talk. Thank you for your feedback. I think that you reflected back what I already know, but it's sometimes like the collective mind or the hive, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
It drills the collective wisdom home, because some of the ego, like, you know, it's trying to, like, for me, my ego is constantly trying to trip me up, and so I often will, like, put aside the wisdom I have, like the old ancient wisdom that, you know, I feel like that I live by, in lieu of the ego when I start to get really, like, scared, and just like the reassurance that because I feel very at home here with you ladies, like, you know, because I've seen both of you change, you know, over the years. I mean, Jerry I've known longer, but I've seen you, Beth, since even just a year and a half ago, change so much, you know, in front of people. And I think of myself as a courageous person, but bringing it to that level, being courageous in public, you know, I feel like I just, it's a new thing for me, because you know, I always loved acting, but there was a point in my life that I didn't want to be seen, you know, like I didn't want to be seen, and being seen and being okay with being wrong in the public eye is something that you're saying is okay to embrace, you know, and that's cool. That's not the right word, not cool, but it's what I needed to hear today. So thank you.
Wonderful. And it's not that those things don't affect you, to say the last word if I have to. It's that other things are more important to you.
Yeah, well, when I was watching you, like, doing that there was that gentleman or that guy trolling, like, I saw the flicker in your eye of, like, or hurt, but you just plowed through it, and that's like what I can only aspire to, or that's what I aspire to, not only, that's what I aspire to, you know. It's a goal to work towards for me.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And thank you, Sherry, as well.
If I could just say one little thing on ego. When ego shows up, I was told by a very good friend a long time ago, when that happens, all that is a protection mechanism. So you just say to ego, thank you so much for showing up to protect me, but I don't need your protection. I've got this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're free to go. So maybe that will help.
Yes,
Beautiful.
I've heard it before too, and that's a good reminder. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you for doing your job, ego.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all it is. Just wants to protect you.
Yeah.
Another analogy around that I learned from this woman that I'm following right now is that she said to relate to your ego like it's a 3-year-old, like a little toddler, right? So you hear it, but you don't give it as much weight.
Right, like there, thank you.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm driving.
Yeah. All right. Who's next?
Well, let me try. Where am I? Yeah, I felt a lot of resonance with everybody talking so far. First of all, having all these brilliant ideas of my business, and but then bringing it down to implement it and really doing it, there is something like an obstacle. Yeah, I'm going from one idea to the other idea, and that would be brilliant, and that would be brilliant, but then I get stuck in daily life with hundreds of things here and there, and yeah, that's one of the things. And also the fear of criticism, because I mean, what I would do is channeling and healing work, and it is pretty much exposed, and I'm afraid to be criticized, you know, that somebody would say, what are you talking about? You have no evidence for what you are talking about, and you dare putting that out on the web, and you will confuse people, and you will break wrong hopes of them being healed and stuff like that, you know. And I think I'm not yet at the point where I would take that easily, you know, where I could get rid of all that energy easily. I'm afraid I would absorb it somehow and then start to doubt what I'm doing. And yeah, these are the issues I have. And also really working out a program, really working out a strong program where I guide people step by step and where I really figure out what do I offer. It's still a bit vague. It's still about, it's still a bit in the air. I have to bring it down to earth. And now my question is, does anybody have any tips that I can do? Is it yoga? Is it grounding myself better in daily exercises? And is it self-love? I know it is, of course, self-esteem and so on. There is still a bit I have to work on in order not to be so much affected by criticism. Yeah, but that's mainly where I am. And also, of course, not putting my business at the first place. So I'm in resonance with everything that was said so far. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what, like you said that you have a lot of different ideas. Can you just introduce us to the overall vision of your business?
Yeah. It would be energy work. Overall energy work, which means I want to apply quantum healing in sessions, clearing the energy field, working with chakras, chakra clearing. That would be in single sessions, and then in addition to that, I imagine being giving lectures, explaining how our energy field relates with the physical body, how we can influence by our thoughts, our cells, our immune system, how do illnesses relate with our well-being, with our immune system, with our thoughts, with our spirituality. Where do illnesses come from? What is the origin? You know, to guide people to actually self-healing. That would be my vision, really. And to explain them first rationally and logically where things come from. That would be, I think that's somehow my mission, and also then really doing the energy work with them, connecting them with their higher self, with their soul, with the spirit. That's the sort of work I would like to do. But I have no business yet. I'm still in the process of doing it, and a few things came in between, so I'm still not set really. And I'm also not the type of person who goes out and market, I cannot market myself, my idea is, it is what it is, and you take it or you like it. You take it or you leave it. Somehow, but that's not how you can market yourself. You have to go out and you have to say, hey, I'm here, and if you need anything, I can help you. But there is a bit of a resistance. Was that clear?
Yeah, it's very clear. Does anyone want to give any feedback to Eva? I like that question about, the first question about grounding. Does anyone have good tips on that?
I had something just about her overall hesitance about, what it is. I've actually had that done on me. So I think maybe a good suggestion would be, if you have some people you know and trust that are close to you that would let you do that work on them, and then give you a testimony of their experience. And then you have a handful of people's different experiences from having the work done on them, and that you can direct people to that instead of you having to, verify or explain or somehow make it real to somebody. And then someone will either, like I think Beth said before, it's either for them or it's not for them at that point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good idea. I have a few who I can ask for that. The testimonies. Yeah, that's on my list of to-do things.
Yeah, I would have gave the same suggestions as Margot. Some of what I heard from you sounded like stuff that were actually future considerations for you to worry about rather than current, right? So if you just be like, okay, well, that's great. Like, I'll be worried about that later when I'm there. And then like, what is the now calling for? Because essentially, if you don't get through the now, you're never going to get to the place where you have to worry about that, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes that's like what our unconscious mind likes to do. It likes to let us not even get the first step because we're worried about what's going to happen at step 8.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Just do it and just start with it, and then I'll see where it brings me.
Yeah, and even if you take on a bunch of people at a beta rate or even for free, like Margot said, and just get more experience and testimonials under your belt, you're just going to be a totally different person stepping into your business, right? Like, it's so common for us to be like, oh, I don't want to charge money, but then we also don't want to give it away for free, right? So like, which is it, right? So just give it away for free if that's what it takes for you to get the confidence and the experience. And then you'll feel like, look at, I did this and this is what it's like. And now I know I can do it again. And you would have already worked out some of the kinks of it, right? And then you'll feel totally at a higher level, and you'll be starting, instead of from this level of confidence, you're starting at this level of confidence.
Another
in a short period of time so that you're not overwhelmed for months doing free work, right?
Yeah.
Another place you might want to consider starting, Ava, is to do a local psychic fair or a body, mind, spirit fair or something like that, because you can have a little space there or go in with somebody else, and you can do some quantum healing or, little small things. I have a friend who lives in Florida who does psychic fairs throughout the year, and she does energy healing at them, and she charges about $20 for a 10 or 15 minute session. But that's, it's given her, it gave her courage to start doing more and more and more, and now that's all she does. And something else that might help you and Krista both, something I learned when I was in network marketing, when we were, approaching people to join you in business. But this applies, I feel, to having clients as well, or getting it, integrating what you're saying into their own life. Some will, some won't. So what? Next.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thanks. Yeah.
I love that. Can you write that into the forum for us, Jen?
Pardon?
Can you write that into the forum for us? Just put it in the Business Model Makeover forum. That would be a great little affirmation, like to put on your wall.
Yeah, so there's about 5 minutes left. Does anyone else have feedback for Eva? Go for it, Moss. Saw your hand go up.
Yeah. It just, like, with the grounding stuff, I feel like kind of getting in, like, habits, almost like ritual around it, can be helpful. But I don't know, when I heard that, my gut feeling was that there's internal hesitation, and like maybe like stuff inside yourself where you're not fully convinced that this is that you can do this, or that you can help people in this way. And I just have a gut feeling that maybe when you resolve those internal tensions, that the grounding and the habits will just automatically happen by themselves. And I mean, obviously it's up to you whether that feels true to you, but that was what I felt when I heard you speaking about it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So I mean, like, maybe focusing those habits on, like, initially just creating space to do that work, and like just dealing with whatever comes up, and then it'll kind of like maybe just automatically transition from dealing with the hesitations to actually feeling inspired to do the work that needs to be done. That's just what came up for me.
Okay, thanks. Yeah,
Really good advice. Really good.
Yeah, okay. I have to work on that a bit deeper, I think.
Yeah. Have you picked up the releasing, Ava, from the goals program? Have you been using releasing at all?
No, I didn't get that far. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, it's in the first module.
The system.
Second, actually.
Oh.
Second module, pardon me.
A second module? Wait, I think I did. Yeah, but maybe not deep enough.
Yeah, it's, to me that sounds like it's just a follow up what Moss was saying. It's if that internal hesitation is there, you can just release it. It might be simpler than you think.
Okay. Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's what keeps me back.
Another thing that may be of benefit, if I understood you correctly, is like sometimes when we go to do something in the world that is not recognized by mainstream society, then there is this, and it's almost like in your mind you see like you have an audience of people that are watching you and they're all skeptics. Right? So instead of actually seeing your tribe of people that you can help, when you imagine stepping forward and speaking out about this work, you're imagining like it's all the skeptics in the room who don't believe in energy medicine and think it's woo-woo and all this kind of thing. And then it makes it so that you're just like, right? So trying to not worry about trying to prove to them that this is valuable in any way, and just focus on the people who are like over here going, I'm so interested in learning this. Please share it with me. I want to understand how my energy body affects my immune system. Like, please tell me, because I think I'm doing everything right and I feel like there's some block in the way, and I bet you it's energetic. Right? Okay. Like there's a whole group of people out there who are sitting there trying to get your attention. Right? But it's like the negative, like that, because it's the ego, right? It has a tendency to just focus on the negative. So it's going to go, when you go to step, it's now going to put this picture in front of you that it's all these people who are skeptics that are going to watch your video or who are going to come to your talk or whatever. Right? But rarely do those people do that. Right? Like they're not interested in the topics. They're not going to show up. They're not going to be attracted to the title of your video. They're not going to press play to watch it. Right? They're just not interested. It's not that it's not possible that you couldn't ever have a heckler or something like that. I think that's everybody's worst fear. To be honest with you, in a live talk situation, and I haven't really done very many live streams, so I can't say in that thing, because when it's Facebook, you get random people, right? Like, if I've ever put a workshop out there or done anything, I've never, ever had anybody heckle me. Ever.
Okay. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Because they're coming because they're interested.
Yeah.
It's not that people don't ask you questions that maybe you don't know the answers to or whatever, or they're like not totally convinced yet, but they're coming because they want to be convinced.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So one of the things that I try to remind people, because working with nutritionists, they have this fear as well. What if they get asked something, they don't know it, right? Is to just be like, oh, you know what? I don't know. I never thought of that. I'll check on the break, or I'll check, when the session is done, and I'll get back to you about that. Or you can go just, because I teach all the time, right? So there's questions that I don't know the answer to. So I have to use that. Or I'll say, does anybody know the answer to that? I'll actually put it to the students. Because you never know, you might have somebody who's an expert on that topic in the room.
Yeah.
Right? So just taking weight off yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also, just to follow up, it's the wisdom of choosing your audience, the niche work that is there, defining who you want to work for. That, you know, that Abo guy who showed up on my video was not in my community. This is just, Facebook is randomly showing my notification across the board to some guy in the Middle East. And, you know, so that's not my community doing that. I don't, because my community is very well defined now. When I put stuff out, I shared something the other day, and somebody shared the share, and the person who shared it, their friends didn't like it. And it's like, yeah, they're not my friends.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not my friends. I didn't get any criticism for it. I knew it was a little edgy, but my audience can take edgy. They're thoughtful. They're reflective.
Yeah.
Right. So choosing your audience carefully saves you so much of that.
Yeah. I've been doing more edgy blog posts and videos and stuff like that in my business, my nutrition business. And I've had almost 400 people unsubscribe from my email list because of that. But you know what? That's 1,500, 1,600 people that are like, keep it coming.
Mm-hmm.
That's 1,600 people said yes to me. Only 400 said no to it. So guess what? I just get to keep being myself and sharing what I really think. And then I don't have these annoying people in my space who are not the kind of people that are my people, right? Like if this was real life, like we were out, you know, at a festival or something, those people, I wouldn't be hanging out with them.
Yeah.
So why do I want them on my email list? I don't.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that they've left. And you know what else? It makes my account more affordable. Right? Like if you have too many people on your list that are not interested in what you have to say or who never will buy a thing from you, that actually costs you money to host them. So give them a reason to unsubscribe if they don't like what you have to say. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
We should move on. Oh, sorry, Ava. Just to let you know, we should move on. Did you want to say one last thing though?
No, it was very helpful. Thank you. Thank you. All the feedback was very helpful. Yeah. Thanks.
Very good. Who would like to go next?
Well,
Great, Margot. Go ahead.
yeah. So at our last in-person retreat, we defined my niche, and I was really excited about that. So I help mothers connect with their 8 to 10-year-old daughters. And I went gangbusters with ideas for content and things like that. But where I'm stuck is, since I'm sort of the perspective of the daughter, because I'm not a mother, is finishing out that I help statement so that it speaks to mothers, you know, and makes them, attracts their attention and makes them curious and makes them go, hey, you know, maybe that's for me, or maybe I should read more about this. So I know I've had one post where Sherry wrote back, you know, dig deeper. And so I've put a lot of thought into the things that can happen by not connecting with your children. You know, it can start by little things like they just start looking for connection outside themselves and their family with peers, and just, you know, giving a higher value to what their peers think and trying to fit in there, which can also lead to risky behavior. It can go on to things like addictions and self-harm and depression, things like that. And so I'm just wondering and wanting some help with formulating that, because also when your kid is like 8 or 9 or 10, you know, they look like they're fine. And, you know, and so I'm, you know, maybe they don't even think that's a possibility, because those things usually don't show up until a little bit later down the line.
Does anyone want to respond to that about, let's start with that not a mother thing. Is that a credibility, feeling like you don't have credibility with your niche, Margot?
No, but my perspective, like I don't know how to explain it. My whole, like, inside of creating the program is creating it from the daughter's perspective. And so I don't have like a lot of friends that are this mother group to hear, like, what are their concerns? What are their fears? I just don't, I don't know how to, like, I know like kind of what the daughter's feeling and how that plays out.
Right. Margot, the thing that came to me was that what you could do is actually create a series of questions that you could interview some moms who have children at that age. And that will help you pull out the languaging of what their concerns are so that you can speak to it in their way. Because essentially, like, myself being a mother, I would feel like I wouldn't have any problem at all with you not being a mother. That wouldn't change anything. Like, there's a lot of businesses where I would say to someone, well, you're probably going to feel some obstacle if you're not in that person's shoes before. But in this case, you representing the daughter, because the mother is, like, ultimately, like, if I were to book a coaching package with you around this, my front and center would be like serving my daughter. So I wouldn't need you to have been a mother, because it's not like it's something like, oh, I'm having this kind of a problem with mothering and I need you to have like that experience that I'm exactly having. It would be about me wanting to basically get support and accountability around having actually set aside time to nurture her soul, to make sure that she's feeling connected. So I think there's nothing, there I wouldn't have to worry about. And it doesn't sound like it is an issue for you, but, just in case it comes up at some point, I don't think that necessarily applies to your business, that you have to have the problem the person that's buying the package has, right? You've had the issue of the daughter, right? So that's totally great. There's so many things you'll be able to speak to when you start getting visible in your business. And we're all women, so we've all been daughters, right? So it's gonna speak to us. So I think just interviewing moms about what is their front and center concern about, like, what do you think the consequence is? Like, if you said to me, what do you think the consequence is of not spending enough time with your daughter, right? Like, I may be right now having the thought, I'm not spending enough time with her, but I'm not going deep enough to look at, like, what are the consequences of that? What could be the consequences of that, right? And for some moms, it's going to be the stuff that you said, like, that the child will start connecting to other people and end up, like, on drugs and on the streets. I mean, like, the worst case scenario that we could possibly think of. But for me as a mother, I'm thinking to, like, the things like, oh my God, like, if she doesn't feel like unconditional love and the feeling that she's always, that she has the right to be heard, self-expressed, and all these things, the fear that would come into my head would be like, oh, well, she would end up with a boyfriend or a husband who did not give her that either, right? Like, that would be my fear. It's like, if she's not getting from her family what I want her to have in the future, why would she even expect to have any more than she has gotten in the past, right? I know you're not interviewing me, but that's just what would, come up for me.
No, that's great. See, that's the kind of thing that I like from the mother's view that I am asking for.
Yeah.
Like,
it would make a great book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'd be curious also, if I'm not cutting anyone off, to hear what Allison has to say about this, because she's got lots of expertise in this area.
Yeah, I love that niche, and I'm sorry my microphone may be a little bit weird.
No, it's perfect.
Okay, because I usually have technical things until now. And Margot, that's a really touching niche a lot. And what came to my mind were stories, the power of storytelling for this one. I mean, I'm someone who reads a lot of young adult literature, and a lot of it's confessional from the point of view of the child. I think that affects people deeply. The stories that we read, the stories that are current in popular culture, for better or worse, and even stories that you can tell could be really meaningful in this one. That's a long tradition. They could be fairy tales or, the new kind of young adult or tween novels, whatever you feel about it. Just really like what you said, and I love the niche. I think it's very beautiful.
Thank you.
That's a great suggestion, Allison. Really good. It's true of any business too, just to repeat that. Yes, this is, it couldn't be more perfect, actually. You can see what juicy, beautiful content, Margot, you could be. It's such a creative arena. It's got so much to pull from, like Allison was saying, from the real confessional to the mythological to the archetypal, everything. It's just got so much going for it. So, but storytelling is absolutely the way to go for anybody who's thinking, oh, I don't do mother-daughter things, so storytelling's not my thing. But that's really, that's the replacement for marketing for anyone who doesn't want to market. Ava, you'd said that, and just tell stories.
Yeah, I would be like any story about about a daughter and like what happened with like a story of her and her mother and how that impacted the daughter. Like you wouldn't even have to like market to me about the value. I would just hear like, oh my God, like I would never want that to happen to my child or whatever, that impacts a mother, just the stories people tell. Yeah, for sure.
Great.
Yeah. And when you interview people, you're essentially finding the right words for your marketing and finding out what needs to be added to your program, because you'll know the problems that moms are struggling with. And you'll actually have a bunch of people who know what your work is that can tell others about it. So it serves like doing that interview will serve multiple purposes in your business, and you might get a client out of it.
And if I don't know people like this, do you have suggestions on where to connect with these mothers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hello.
Oh. You can interview Beth and I. I think Beth just put her hand up.
Okay. Exactly. Yeah. In case you couldn't see me, that's a good point.
Oh, awesome.
I have a son, but I was a daughter, and I was the one who, got in with my peers and got into risky stuff and addiction and self-harm and depression. You got the whole list. I was there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, so
that's another good example. Like actually just interviewing daughters will give you more. Whether it's mothers or daughters, it doesn't even matter at the end of the day. You're going to get so much insight and feedback.
Great. Okay.
It's a very juicy topic.
You could even turn it into like an interview series where you start collecting people's names on your list while doing these interviews.
Oh, that's an awesome idea, is just start out looking for people to interview.
Yeah.
And get those stories.
Yeah. And you know what? Here's the thing. If you focus on entrepreneurial moms, they're the ones that are like, oh, maybe I'm not spending enough time with my kid, right? They're the ones that have all the guilt.
That's great insight too.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Oh, that's so awesome. So I had one more thing too, because my ego is in there, because it wasn't a priority for my mom to spend time and money on me. So my ego tells me like, oh, what mom is going to put this as a priority? There's so many other things that, they have to get the car fixed and this, and, maybe, like my brother and his wife, they pay for all these lessons, they're constantly in sports or lessons or this or that. And like, that's the thing right now. And who's going to want to, spend time and money on connection? It seems more like, or, getting them into Ivy League school is big right now too. Like, how is this going to rate up there with those things?
I want to answer that. Firstly, it feels like this could be so healing for you to be interacting with the kind of mothers who put the emotional health and the relational health first and foremost, is like kind of connecting with those women out there, but who care way more about that kind of thing than about the more superficial stuff. And because like I know a lot of those mothers who, like, I'm not a mother, but most of my friends are. And they are the kind of mothers who care more about the quality of their relationships and the kind of emotional health of their children than about anything else. And so for you to like have experience of connecting really deeply with mothers like that, I think is really, really potentially healing for that part of you. And also that I think that kind of that's the old paradigm of our culture, that we care more about the deep, like the material things than the more meaningful things. And I think that there's a really growing subculture of people for whom that is not true, and probably all of us here. Like, if I had children, I would care a lot more about having that quality of relationship than about hockey lessons or Ivy League schools, because I know from experience that that's been the really important stuff for me. Living a happy life is getting that stuff fully healed. So like, one, trusting that our culture is changing enough that there are plenty of potential clients who really want what you have to offer. And the other is like kind of putting it out there to the universe of like it being a venue of healing for you to connect with those people.
Great.
Beautiful. I have something to add to just being the mother. If you create scenarios and situations in which the mother is doing something that is also self-care for herself at the same time, and there's other adults around, the mother is going to be more motivated to do it. Like, so I'll give you the example about it. It's like one of the things that I've always felt guilty about is that I just like refused when my kids were little to play with them. Like, I just refused. I hate playing. So I didn't even I didn't play with them at all so that they wouldn't ask me to play. I was just like, I don't play. So it's not like, it's a decision that I made, and it was what I had to do to emotionally function around it, but it's not something that I'm proud of or feel like it was necessarily like something that needed to be black and white like that, right? But mostly it came from the place of, I would actually feel sick to my stomach. Like the idea, and still like the idea of playing with a little kid makes me feel sick to my stomach. Like, that's going to be the most boring thing I could ever do in my entire life. And like, I want to pull my hair out and kill myself because I have so many other things to do. Right? Like, that's exactly where I'd be coming from around it. And then I would still feel terrible. I'd feel horrible. I'd watch my child playing by themselves, feeling like, oh my God, I'm the worst mother in the world, right? But what would get me there would be a time set aside where I'm doing something with her where I'm not bored to tears, not being a kid person. That's the part of it. It's like I love babies. I love teenagers, not so good with little kids. But if you could facilitate a situation, like, say a retreat where like it's a few days and we're going to do all these exercises together, but there's other people in the room. It's not just me and a little kid. Okay. So I'm getting adult connection at the same time as connecting with her. That would be one of the things. Having the self-care as a part of it. So like, I don't have any resistance about going to the nail salon and hanging out with her, getting my nails done while she's getting her nails done. And we're talking kid talk. I can talk kid talk for 30 minutes if someone's touching me and massaging me. And so I think it's like, recognizing the profile of the woman who struggles with this, because there are some women who are like, hanging out with little kids is fun. Doing crafts, all that kind of stuff. Like, they like it. I don't. But I still want to spend time with my child, yet I haven't found that natural groove. Although I have found one thing at this point, and it's taking Jasmine to Starbucks while I do my mindset work once a week, and she brings something to do. She gets a treat and she loves it.
That's awesome. That's also that's a part of my program, is to help mothers get into that play. And I don't know if that would, it may or may not fully bring everyone like you on board, but I distinctly remember that my mother would never engage with me like that. And
Yeah,
I have a different like angle on it in the program to help. So.
great. Yeah, I think one of the things that would help with me is like if I was immersed in it and got to relax and accept it, then I could experience the pleasure of it. But it's almost like I would need somebody to hold my hand while I'm doing that. And I know that for people that like to play with kids, this sounds like probably the most ridiculous thing that I could ever be saying. But honestly, it's like I haven't experienced the pleasure of it. So I can't imagine doing it ever again if I myself to, right? Whereas if you facilitated something that allowed mothers to feel actually pleasure in it,
Right.
then they could probably go home and do it again.
Yeah, no, that's great. I love that. Thanks for sharing.
Oh, I was just
So, okay.
sorry. If there's like women who like where play is like this kind of like fraught, tense thing, like maybe there's another way to phrase it. Like, what if there was a way to connect with your daughter, like in a fun, easy, effortless way without dumbing yourself down? Or I don't know, finding that language of like avoiding the trigger words and presenting it as this like easy option of like you're going to help them find the way to connect, the types of things to do where the mother isn't having to like compromise or do something that's boring to her.
For sure. That's great advice, Moss. I hate to interrupt everybody, but we're already 90 minutes into the program here. Shall we take a quick break just for bathrooms and to make sure that everybody gets a turn today? Okay, sounds good. So we'll be back in, what do you think, Sherry, 5 to 7 minutes, or do you want to take a full 10?
Let's do it so that we're like go as quick as we can and get back and just get started as soon as everyone's here.
Couple of minutes then.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you. Hey, so is my audio the one that's making all the crackling?
I'm not hearing it. No, I think there might have been some of me going on. Just the headset is very sensitive.
Right. I hear you.
Can you hear background noise, Sherry?
I couldn't, no.
Okay.
I thought
Chris,
Oh.
Chris, are you still hearing background noise?
I I was hearing it earlier. I think it might have been Dan's connection. When her
Jen's, yeah, it's true. Yeah, Jen's got a little bit dicey internet.
But I also was hearing a lot of it when everyone had their microphone off. It's just every little movement. And I think that the thing you're wearing makes the feedback share this video. She was getting a lot of feedback from it a couple of weeks ago. I think you can touch this part, the little, you know what I'm talking about on your headphones?
Yeah, the mic is right there. So if I touch it, it's true. That's right. Exactly. Yeah. You're very quiet, so I needed the headset to hear you. But I could take it off. Yeah, you are very quiet. Yeah, I think you might be just a little bit far away from your.
Oh, I can get closer. Is that better?
Much. Yeah, because I can take the headset off then.
Okay.
I can hear everybody.
Cool.
All right, so who would like to go next? We're, I guess, still waiting for 2 people to come back in the room, but wouldn't hurt to, if you wanted to put your hand up and.
Oh, sorry, I ran out before you screamed a break. I thought I was done. So I can't hear it all.
Kitties. My kitties are having a little cat fight.
Yeah, it looks like I have to do the headset or else I'm just not going to hear. So apologies for any mic noise.
Okay.
Did
Allison,
somebody say they wanted to be?
Did you call on anybody, or are we waiting?
it would be, you can start. Allison, you raised your hand, didn't you? Allison, did you want to start? Oh, we can't hear you. You're
You
muted.
just have to unmute your mic.
I'll do it. Yeah, she's unmuted.
Can you hear me now? All right, thank you. Yeah, are we starting now, or are we waiting for anybody?
Let's go ahead and start.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I'll read my I help statement. And it's, I help a woman with creative and genius children put an end to the conflict she experiences between the child's needs and dreams and nature and the pitfalls of the education system, so she can grow with her child and create a life of vision and purpose without having to sacrifice her family's time, money, and mental energy. So that's my mother-child coaching, mentoring. And I identify with it a lot, but I get stuck on places like really who this woman is. Sometimes I can see her clearly, and sometimes I put up a lot of buts and blocks and qualifications that are just too tough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this a homeschooled, a mother who's homeschooling?
It, including, it can be. Yeah, it can be. When I think of this, I think of all mothers as homeschooling somehow. And I very much identify with mothers who are parenting kind of in opposition to school, if I can say that, or, with a lot of trepidations about school.
Right.
I counter it all the time. That's the way that I parent or mentor kids anyway.
So could you tell us more about the problems that she's wanting solved, like, or what are the challenges that she is up against? Just your picture of who she is.
Yeah, sure. One of the things is just a feeling of distance from the child, and a kind of a troubling distance, or maybe not even knowing like the right, getting a feeling of right distance, comfortable distance, close enough, far enough. Am I investing enough time in my child, or maybe am I investing too much? So there are a lot of like polarity or imbalance issues that she experiences. Another one is I'm not passing on my legacy. I'm not really getting to the heart of the matter with my parenting. I'm just, kind of doing the rote aspects of parenting all the time. because she's somebody who's definitely not parenting in an old way. She's not parenting as a, as the Pope telling people what to do. It's obviously we've moved on from that. And, she probably like us is more of a guiding figure, a responsible guiding figure, but not an authoritarian parent in any way. So yeah, the legacy, the distance, the 21st century skill aspect. Just, what do we want to teach our children? Really, what are we modeling? What are we here for? There's always that now. There are many choices there. Things related to technology and spirit teachings and how to integrate those.
Yeah.
Also another, one final thing is kind of the, so the international, like the global education thing. I'm into that as an intercultural person. I'm really into making sense of the larger human family with our kids. I think we've expanded our ideas of family so much that it's definitely not just the nuclear family. It's sort of trying to create global humans who relate to others.
Right.
Anyway, those are some of the painful points for my client.
Right. And when she is in that polarity of things where she doesn't quite know that she's grounded into the parenting that she wants to do, how does that impact your child? What is the result of that she sees with her child?
Yeah. In herself, it's worry. And if she's worried, her child will be picking up on her worry a lot and maybe mirroring it or resisting it.
Yeah.
Maybe the child will be sort of too carefree, knowing that the mother's worried. Will always having to be reassuring the mother that, oh, it's all right, it's all right. The child can get very apathetic and a little bit callous, maybe. The child may be bored in a deep way and disengaged in some ways. Maybe overly worried about fitting in to mainstream sort of norms if they're not feeling solid path from parent or mother.
Yes.
Yeah. So some kind of disengagement type things and stunted potential things.
Yeah.
The child might not be just opening all the doors they want to open in this world.
Okay. Wow. So I'm like,
it's all of us all the time. Yeah. Kind of how it is now. Me too. I have a 15-year-old and I'm living it.
Okay. Yeah. I'm a 15-year-old as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't know that your son was that old.
Yeah.
Yeah. That age. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So then was the question, you're still trying to figure out how to figure out who you're, how to say this is the mom. That's your name.
Yeah. Beth knows how I make up this story about, I live in a very traditional area in a way, sort of a rich suburban traditional, but it has a strong subculture of moms. I don't always find them or access them.
Okay.
And so I'm not doing the tribal call thing really well.
Yeah.
Saying things the way that those women would feel free to come up, because they're definitely around, but they're not all hanging in one place or going to one school.
Okay. I just want to say something just to encourage and affirm your business, is that this is something that I've been thinking about for a long time. Why is there no one out there working with moms of kids that are older? Why is everything that I want to learn about attachment parenting all about 3-year-olds and children under 7? And there's nothing for the older kids, right? It's I would be totally your tribe. I would be listening to your videos, looking for ideas and things to help me connect better with my kids, or to answer all those questions the same that you talked about. So for sure, there's a huge need for it, and you could build an enormous tribe on that.
Thank you, Sherry.
Yeah.
That means a lot.
Yeah, good. Because it's so true, right? And
I have like
I have that.
when I connect with people, it's mostly in people. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's great.
It's different for me to connect with people online. Like it's a new area. It's different. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I like how you stated it, Alison. You put it in a negative, but doing the tribal call, it's that phrase like so landed. It's just like put up your hand. This is a tribal call. You have a mother, give your email, and I'm going to be sending you regular resources. Like, be so easy to share.
Yeah.
One post and somewhere to land with the email. You wouldn't even have to say what the gift is.
Thank you. Yeah.
Does anyone else? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
It's good to be with other people. It helps.
I've got a lag here, so I'm sorry for interrupting people.
Oh, me too.
I have a question about your niche. Like when you first used the words, I think, genius and creative children, it sounded like you were specifically talking about like parents of gifted children who have different needs. And then later you were talking more about what kind of parent it is, like a parent who is really wanting their child to have the most, and not necessarily just for the kind of gifted bracket. I don't know how meaningful that bracket is, but So I'm just kind of curious, is it both? Like what kind of child and what kind of parent? Or is it all parents who want their child to have that global family and to be fully expressing their gifts? That's,
yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Moss. Yeah. I'm not so clear. When I talk to people, I'm trying to balance between the parent and the child, or the mom and the child. Could be dad, doesn't really matter, but the person who's doing a lot of care, how people hear it. But I do feel like a lot of it is about untapped potential and just sort of, spirit waste and brain waste. That is the part that speaks to me in the genius thing. Because I think that we might all agree all children are creative and genius, when we can see it. Yeah.
It's a great reflection, Moss. And Alison, you could just drop in that untapped potential in place of the gifted, because I hear it now through Moss's ears. That might make them think like, oh, I don't have a special needs kid or something like that. Right. So yeah, the untapped potential really spoke to me.
Yeah. I think that there's advantages with both ways, because parents, everything's frozen, so I don't know if you can still hear me.
Yes.
Parents of gifted children, they know who they are. And that is like a word that they immediately hone in on and will immediately say, yes, that's me. But then it excludes the people whose children have not been labeled as gifted, but who really want, lots of people want their child to fully express every potential. And I do think all children are geniuses, whether they're classified that way by the school system or not. But if you go with the gifted lot, there are very specific problems that those families face in terms of being able to provide enough resources for children who are not catered to by the school system and are very specifically special needs.
Thank you. Yeah.
I was going to say go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, when you were first talking, it sounded like maybe your audience would be awakened moms, spiritual moms, thinking what else could they add to their child's education that they're getting in the public school.
Yeah, I think I can only work with awakened moms or people who are trying to be awakened, and who do feel, but I don't know if I want to tap their feeling of lack. Yeah, I feel lack, and I feel like not feeding our children does get to a very bad place. It really causes problems. So maybe I should be more explicit about, yeah, it kind of sucks, that we don't always have the right sort of food for our kids, so to speak.
Yeah, maybe it's more of a lack of direction. Maybe you could provide that direction on sort of, okay, because the parents saying, okay, I'm awakened now, and they're working on their own life, but how do I bring this to my children's education and their, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's good for me because I have activities and practices in my system that are, fun, different things to do that are pretty concrete. Games and activities and ways of thinking and role playing. So that's right. Lack of direction.
So
is the kind of lack.
When I hear your all the ideas that you've come up with, that I see this like big, like really big, wide community, and then different avenues of different kinds of programs that you would do with people in a more global way, right? Of course, with your signature system, it has to be, stuff that you're doing with people, maybe more locally or private practice. And you can also do it virtually, just the way we are on screen together right now, right? With your signature system and your private packages. But I feel like as you're talking, there's all these smaller subjects that can be smaller programs, right? Whether it's like, an ebook or a e-course or, so that you are able to actually tap into all these, because it's like I hear like multi-passionate of subjects within that tribe, right? So if you focus on building the tribe right now, it's not even essential that you don't have to be 100% clear on your niche to build your tribe of people. If you just start speaking your truth, your tribe hears that you're their tribe. So they like your Facebook page or they go on your list. Right? As long as you just keep like telling those stories and sharing your perspective on things, then as you go, it can become more clear how to market specifically to a niche in order to get private clients, right? Because essentially it's the private clients who pay more, who need to know that the system's designed for them and will get them the results that they're looking for. But the tribe, it's a group of people that are interested in your subject. And from there, some of them will be interested in private, but some of them will be interested in this one course that you have that's just for, this one purpose.
Thank you. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, and it's the same for everyone, right? Like if you don't have to wait until you get this perfect before you start building your tribe. Right? You can start just getting out there and getting practice with being visible and just sharing your truth. Letting people like your Facebook page and your videos and your posts.
Yeah. That gives it the energy, the momentum that's needed.
Exactly. Because then when you have people who are listening and paying attention, you're like, oh, I need to build this program because they need it now. Whereas if you don't go out there and be visible and get feedback immediately in any way, shape, or form, you're just sitting behind your computer going, is anyone ever going to want this thing that I'm spending 5 million hours on?
Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah, that's the real waste.
Creating a handout for your signature system, part of it could, or all of it could even be a note on your Facebook page. You have a website, it doesn't have to be a blog, right? Like,
yeah, that's good.
I'll just add something to, sorry.
No, good, go ahead.
Just add something that Sherry and I have been coming to in our own business and our own mindset. And we had some of the similar training, lots of the same training in terms of business coaching that, out of the starter gate, it's all about high-end programs. It's not that that's the baby in the bathwater and you say goodbye to that, but I really feel and hear what Sherry's saying about that, your tribe is enormous. There's the number of people out there that will care about this. And so it makes it actually really appropriate to have those smaller products. where they can come along and for $47 or $147, they can handle one problem. I don't know how to play with my 15-year-old. And like, I just, you know, be a no-brainer. Like, yeah, I'm going to need that program. Maybe I don't want to do your whole signature system, but you know, so it's a place that if I've brainwashed you about it's like high end or nothing.
It's a good brainwashing, but I do see what you're saying, how it fits together, the parts and the whole.
Yeah. It's a slower path to income, but if you focus, like Sherry says, on build a tribe, like every single day, you could put something out, a Facebook post, a video, so, you know, some kind of a show up on somebody's teleseminar, host your own teleseminar. I think also, like Margot, it's very much, I think there's lots of interview possibility here. Talking to women who have actually had breakthroughs, if they're out there.
Sure.
Interviewing experts that you consider that would have something to offer in that field, even if it's just a micro side, it doesn't have to be your whole subject, but all those little broken down subjects.
Yeah, that's really, really helpful. Specifically because when I started thinking about getting high-end clients, the fact was I didn't really have a tribe. I didn't have a tribe physically near me, and I didn't have a tribe online. So it's almost like planting something in kind of bare dirt. It could be different for other people. If they're starting with a big tribe, I think it's a little different.
For sure. High-end clients are the easiest to get when you don't have a tribe.
Oh.
Because it's just one phone call. Hey, I've been thinking about you.
Yeah.
It's just the one person identifying those, you know, I hear her, you know, so that's again where that starting with the high end makes the business possible without any email list at all. So
yeah, I gotta remember that. Yeah, there's I'm interested in all the paths with less resistance. I identify the resistance quickly now. I can release it, and I just kind of like a water. I just want to go where it flows. I don't want to, you know,
beautiful.
Waste time, you know. I don't want to waste more time. It just gets uninteresting after a while.
For sure. No, I'm so excited about your business every time I hear about it. So,
thank you, Beth. You've helped me so much with all the coaching, and it's been a long journey and a really great trip.
Beautiful. Well, it looks good on you.
Thanks.
We probably should keep going now. Who hasn't had a turn yet? Oh, sorry, Moss, go ahead.
Oh, no, I haven't gone yet. I don't know if there's anyone else who hasn't gone yet.
I just wanted to add something. Maybe it helps you to know that the new generation of children are different. They are different physically from their incarnation. They have a different DNA. They have totally different needs, actually. And many mothers and many parents are totally overwhelmed with them, with their presence. And maybe you can bring that into your program, that they are the children of the new age, and that they are simply different. I don't know how you can bring that into your program, but I have a friend of mine, and she has a little baby of 6 months, and she's going through all that, and she's also offering now to other mothers advice from her own experience. And I think it's an issue now. It's an issue nowadays that these souls are incarnated from other planets, really, and they come here to help Earth to ascend to the next dimension. They have done that for other planets already, and they come to Earth with a specific purpose, and they need our help as parents to make them, to guide them really with the physics, with the material, how it is to fall, how it is to relate to Earth, that we have to breathe. Some of them have breathing problems because they have never been on Earth and they don't know that they need to breathe, really. There are simple things like that, or some of them, when they come to age 5 or 6, they think they can fly, and it can be quite dangerous situations because they are not used to have a physical body. And that's a big challenge for many parents. I don't know how much you're aware of all that, but maybe it helps you to bring that into it, because I think the spiritual community, let's call it like that, or mothers who are awakened already, they are aware of that. They somehow face the problem, and if there is a solution to it, I think it's unique. You can find it in the books.
Yeah, thank you, Eva. I've definitely observed and definitely feel what you're saying, for sure.
So I apologize to cut it short. I would love to give Moss her turn now, and just to acknowledge we are on the hour by 2 minutes. Does everybody have an extra 15 minutes to spend and give Moss our full attention right now? Fantastic. We won't hold it against you if you absolutely had to go, but you're on, Moss.
Okay. Wow. All right. So yeah. So I'm very confused about my niche right now and where to focus. So I know that I am most interested in working with for anyone who doesn't know kind of the basics of what I do, I practice traditional Chinese medicine. So herbal medicine, acupuncture, dietary therapy, but I'm kind of expanding into health coaching and kind of wanting to work on a very deep level with somebody, so like physically, emotionally, spiritually, to help them turn illness into a gift, to get the real gift out of the illness and have it be a transformational process that brings them to where they most need to be. And I want to work with people who are visionaries and change makers, and to kind of maximize my impact on the world by helping those people to overcome their health issues so that they can go out and do the work that they're so called to do. So that is I guess that's my tribe, and I feel very clear on that. But in terms of kind of structuring my signature system, I don't know, within that, last time we all met together for the business model makeover, we were talking a bit about maybe focusing on people with digestive health problems, because that's been my own personal experience. But I feel like kind of pulled in a few different directions around it still. That's where I'm at.
Yes, so you have the visionaries and change makers, but that can be, you've got the archetype, you've got the energy, their ins and outs, their highs and their lows, and then grounding it down to some kind of situation in life is the next stage of the journey, because I think you're really clear about your service. And then what do you think, Sherry? Is it just a matter of, because at the beginning you think it's I'm going to choose and it's going to be the be all and the end all, but what's a starter point, right? What's a kind of person that you can help, you feel confident about, it always helps if you actually do know somebody that you can model the system for.
Mm-hmm. I have, I don't know if this would be the kind of person that you would want to work with, but I just recently, there's this woman who has applied a couple times to have conversations with both Beth and I about getting help to start her business. And she wasn't able to figure out how to pay for any services, and struggles a lot with her finances to get the help she needs. And recently I put out a program to help people lose weight, and it's at a really low investment right now. So she was able to purchase it. So she purchased the program and filled out my application form for nutrition consulting. And when I saw all of the health concerns that she had going on, I was like, well, of course she can't start her business. How could somebody be sick and not have high energy and start a business? So that would be a situation, like a situationally specific niche where it's like the entrepreneur realizes and gets that the reason why they can't get going in their business is not because they don't have the passion or the drive or the know-how. It's because they don't have the energy, and it's because they're not well. And if all you could give them the best business advice in the world, and they would never be able to manifest it, because that health has to be there, right? Because if you can imagine, like even myself, I'm very healthy, but if I'm tired, my mind immediately goes into doubtful, negative thoughts. So if you can imagine, if you were tired all the time, how could you possibly stay in a positive, high vibe state to manifest vision? You couldn't. So that's a very specific situation. And it's those people, like, for example, for her, the business she would like to do would, and I don't want to say her name or anything or about her business because I got to keep it confidential, but she could be making a massive difference in the world. She would definitely be a change maker if she could take that vision and manifest it.
Yeah. And I think that that's really not an uncommon situation. Like, I think that often health crises really emerge in the like when there's a lot of internal chaos because there's something trying to come out of us that we don't know how to fully express, and where, like, you know, our existing circumstances feel like they're keeping us trapped in something that we know deep down isn't good for us, but we're stuck in that liminal space, that kind of like middle space between like the way that we have done things and the way that and the place that we're trying to get to. There's often a whole lot of like trying different things and having it not work out, and a lot of like internal chaos going on.
Right, and then mirrored by the body also mirroring all that stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that story would be another example, right? Of her having to get sick to actually wake up to what she's really meant to be here. So there's many people who will see that as a pattern in their life. Like every time they go to make a change, something goes with their body, and they know that's a pattern for them. And they're actually even scared to really step fully into the visionary role that they play, because they are afraid that actually if they step into it, they're going to get sick. It's like both, like it'll trigger sickness. And I hear it all the time from people.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, that like these kind of things come to the surface when we're like pushing our limits and doing the things that we're really afraid to do but drawn to do. Yeah, I feel like this situational stuff really excites me a lot more than thinking about the situation in terms of specific symptoms, because I am so multi-passionate about like whether it's autoimmune or digestive or mental emotional or like kind of trauma history stuff. Like I feel very, or gynecological, like I'm fascinated by all those different things, but the core of it for me is this being like a symptom that things that are out of alignment in your life and your life's work, and how do we get you from everything is chaos and your body is betraying you and letting you down and you're in this war with your body to like healing all of that and standing fully in your power.
Yeah, and you can see that your passion coming through right now, right? Like she's like right on it. So this would be the kind of stuff that you would talk about in videos. And then people would just self-identify, right? Like when I decided that video was going to be the thing that would blow up my business, I decided this like 3 or 4 years ago. And within 3 months, I gained 20 pounds because my body was like, that's scary. Well, what can you do to Sherry that would make her not do that? Oh, we'll just put 20 pounds on her. That's worked in the past to make her feel like she wants to hide. So let's do it, right? Yeah. It's like a pattern people will see over and over. It won't be hard to communicate what it is that the solution that you're solving or the problem that you're solving.
And like, I'm also not really like that fascinated by the idea of like working with someone to overcome really deep health issues so that they can go back to their shitty relationship or their shitty job that they hate and keep plugging along doing something that wasn't working for them.
Beautiful.
And I'm really coming up in my clinical practice where I'm like working very intensely with people and getting them really good results, but I see that I'm able to give them like 20 or 30% of what I could because they're not on the same page as me spiritually or like kind of in terms of vision. And they don't want to reevaluate their belief systems and their emotional habits and like get rid of all the crap so that they can be the best that they can be. They just want the symptom gone. And that's kind of boring to me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. This is very beautiful, Moss. I really was tuned in with your word emerge. And then I wonder if you put those two together, emerge medicine, right? There's a big play on, you know, don't let it be an emergence or quit my job. I wonder what I'm going to do now. Right. So that word, like the emerging person, it's like we all know what that feels like. To in fact, we're all here, right? You probably got a captive audience right now. Everybody going like, oh, I need to go see Moss now. So yes,
a real saying like emerge or before it becomes an emergency.
That's what I said. Yeah.
Yeah. So that could be a little thing that you could put in your business.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, like emerging into your full potential. Yeah, and like kind of, I feel like there's a lot of potential to talk to people about like how an illness like or a health crisis doesn't have to be something terrible that happened to you. It can be such a gift, like it was for you, Beth, and like that I think that when we fully like take it to the full extent, it can be something that absolutely transforms our lives, but we wouldn't have got all those gifts otherwise.
Beautiful. That sounds really clear. How do you feel now?
Like, oh, it's like a big relief because I've been really struggling with this thing of like, how can I choose digestive problems over gynecology? Because like I can't. But when it's like getting into that specific situation of the crisis that they're in and what that means to them, that is so clear to me.
Right. Beautiful. And you can see how it'd be easy for you to gather stories as well of people being at that crossroads, so that encourages other people to see that they're there and that you're the one to help them because you're the purveyor of the stories, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's really awesome. I don't know if I feel like that's a lot to kind of think in now. I don't know if I have more kind of immediate questions, but if anyone else who's here has like any ahas from what I said, I would love to hear it.
I can just really resonate with that as a niche because there's some things that I start to think about doing and I get so fearful that I can feel my body just starting to go, like what Sherry's talking about, create a diversion so I don't do that thing, like whether it's nauseous or just everything tensing up. Let's throw the back out. I can feel that. So I think that resonates as a really powerful niche.
Yay.
Yeah,
awesome.
It does.
Thank you.
Well, I started releasing in October. I took this accelerated releasing course, and I got so
just a little bit louder, Krista. We can't hear you very well.
Can you hear me now?
Bit better, yes.
Okay. In October, I started releasing, and I got so sick the month of October. Like, I haven't been this sick with a cold since I was a teenager, and then a flu, and it was because I was doing this work, and I just like, I powered down a little, took care of myself, but then kept going, like after, the bad part of the sickness passed, because I know when I get really sick, it's usually because I'm trying to change something in my life, and I have a lot of resistance to it. So I wanted to validate what you're doing. It resonates for me a lot.
Yeah, I think a lot of us have had those experiences of kind of feeling almost sabotaged by our bodies or our health. Like, we know in here or even idea this is what we need to do, and then you have the big performance and you lose your voice or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So true. I just did a video called, I titled it, Why I Don't Want to Work with Sick People. I think you would resonate with some of that stuff.
Oh yeah, I'll take a look.
Yeah. Okay.
So is there anything else we're down to our last minute, literally. Does anyone have more feedback, or Moss, did you want to offer anything else?
No, I feel like that I'm good for now. Yeah.
Okay. It's Moss's birthday tomorrow. I just wanted to let everybody know.
It was yesterday, but the party is tomorrow.
Okay, there you go. Oh yeah, good.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Birthday.
Well, happy birthday.
So can we just take a minute and just go around and just like have everybody get a chance to just say, something that they're taking away from today? And I'll start since I'm asking you guys. So I feel like sort of vulnerable in saying this because I feel sort of ashamed of it. But I think there's a point that I got to in my life where I started to actually doubt my clients, started to wonder, because people come up with so many excuses about why they can't do things. And I think I started to wonder, is there something missing? Can certain people be entrepreneurs and certain people can't, and all this kind of thing. And I just really feel like that is starting to really shift for me, and that in today's session, just hearing from all of you and the depth of your passion and how important it is for your message to get out in the world, I feel like I don't know if it's today has solidified it for me. It's like a shift that's been happening. It's like I'm really getting that you can do it. I have no doubt that each one of you can do it. And it's just really, really about connecting to that internal passion and drive that you have for the message that's inside of you. And if you stay connected to that, that is what will get you there. It's not the business training. It's literally the getting connected to your message and being willing to be visible and share it. And then if you are willing to do that, then I have absolutely no doubt that every single one of you are going to be successful at making a difference with your work and making you doing it. So thank you.
Amen and ditto. Just to save time, I'll say, yeah. Beautifully spoken, Sherry. Who wants to go next?
I'll go. I just want to, for me, the, again, internet community, internet humans and all that, it's very real for me, and I needed to do it to make it real. So thank you. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Allison.
Yeah.
Who wants to go next? Yeah.
I thank everybody in the round. You're really so brilliant, and I was inspired by each single one of you. Really, I got a bit from each of you, which helps me a lot in my business, but also, has broadened my view on things. You're all really brilliant, and thanks to you, Beth and Sherry, you're really great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eva. Super good. Who would like to go next?
I'll go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess turning down the volume as much as I can on the ego, and knowing that the ego and also a lot of my fears that it's never going to go away. I mean, I've heard this a lot, but it's just been slowly sinking in the last 6 months that it's never going to go away, because this masculine part of me wants to fix things, fix those parts of me that that 20% that drags me down, or that I can't, that I'm not as good at, and something I say is, and Gary Vee said it, is focus on the as much as you can on the 80% that you do know, and only do 20% of what you don't know. So I don't know how to. There's a few things I don't know how to do, and it's just not putting my focus there. And I also wanted to thank all the ladies for your feedback, and for Beth and Sherry for hosting. And I can
relate to Ava. I took away something from everyone here today. And yeah, so thank you.
So great. Thanks, Krista.
Mm-hmm.
Marco, did you want to go? I thought you were.
Sure. Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for sharing their stuckness. And sometimes I think I'm the only one that just doesn't skate through everything and get it going. And so it's helpful to hear that other people have little places where they struggle. Because sometimes I just think there's something wrong with me and I'm broken. And if I could just fix that somehow, I could skate through the steps like everyone else. But so it's good to hear that that's the human quality, that at different points we all kind of have these feelings coming up and whatnot. So thank you. And thank you, Beth and Sherry, for your great insights and your continued support.
Yeah, at any time.
Pleasure. Thank you, Margot. Who else would like to say something? Mas.
Yeah, it kind of blows my mind how useful it is to hear other people talking through what issues are coming up for them, because it's just so familiar, and I feel like we all struggle with such similar things that advice to other people really helps me get clear. And then it was also just such a relief to because this niche thing is something that I've been struggling with for a few months now, and just how simple it was to resolve it, just talking it through, it just was oh yeah, right, why was that an issue? So that's I think it's the power of sharing in groups like this. I'm really impressed by it. So thank you.
Beautiful. So Jan or Allison, which of you guys wants to go first?
Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, go ahead, Alice.
No, I thought I already shared, but I want to say thank you, Sherry and Beth, especially, and thanks everyone, each person. Really great.
Our pleasure. Thank you. And Jen?
Yeah, I was hanging back because I went first, so I thought I would be last. So I want to thank everybody because I learned lots, and I think pretty much everything's been said. But I've had a couple of oh my gosh moments just in the last 5 or 10 when we're talking about physical health, and Sherry talking about gaining weight. I started to gain weight in 2010, and that's when I started to awaken. And it doesn't matter what I do, it doesn't come off. So I figure one of these days it'll just start leaving, fingers crossed. But it's been 6 years, almost 7, and I'm, But the other part of that is I've been sick more this year than I have been in the last 10 years put together. So, and I think that speaks volumes to stepping out, being visible, getting all that shit out of the way. Yeah. Because I am just never sick, and I have been this year. And in the last 5 weeks I've had shingles, and you can see the remains of a cold sore here that popped up on Monday when I wasn't at home and didn't have my ointment to put on it. So I got to grow all day because I came off till midnight. So yeah, just things like that, eh? So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This has been extremely inspiring. And just to finish with, women together are very different than women on their own, right? See how much energy we can raise together. So holding that intention of you having your own tribe, being part of our tribe, we are really honored to host you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, you guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a wonderful day.
Yes. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Happy birthday.
Bye.
Merry Christmas, everyone, and thanks. Bye.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
All right.